Hey, this is Christine, your DIY craftaholic. Welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and if you are new, welcome to you. I have 4 budget-friendly Christmas DIYs, so let's jump right in. For this first one, I'm using this sign that I picked up at the Dollar Tree in summer, and I removed the staple from behind and then took the sanding block and I'm just sanding that down. And afterwards I wiped that down with a baby wipe and I gave that 2 coats of plaster. I decided to use the back and not the front because it was filled with too many glitters. So here I'm just measuring even lines and just marked them lightly with the pencil, adding some shiplap lines, so the areas that I needed to cut. And now that it's done, I started to use this furniture marker, but it was too permanent. It couldn't wipe. As I tried to wipe it with the baby wipe, it wouldn't wipe. So I decided to go in with some antique wax and a small paintbrush. And then just took the baby wipe again and wiped that. And it worked. But then as I looked at it, it looked a little too dark for me. So I just decided to go in with a little more of the paint and just distress that and toned it down a little bit. Next, I took this Merry Christmas stencil that I purchased from Amazon. I got this in a set and I haven't used it before. So here I'm just taking a little piece of the masking tape and I'm taping that down. I also did not want to use all of the markings on there, so I taped some of them down and only kept just a few of those that I wanted to use. Next, I took a sponge dapper and some Mod Podge and I'm applying that just to prevent bleeding. And then here I'm going with some Waverly chalk painting ink and the same sponge dapper. I'm just gonna dap. I'm not applying too much ink because I don't want it to bleed. And when I was satisfied as to how much I needed on there, it is now done. So I removed the stencil and sat it aside and then used the heat gun to just dry that. And when it was all dried, I went over it again with some Mod Podge to seal that in. I had to make it dry properly because I didn't want the paint, any part of it that wasn't dry properly, to start bleeding. So now it's done. I am now ready for embellishing. I got this ribbon from BB Craft and I am going to apply that at the top. So I measured the distance that I wanted and cut that off. And I wanted a little swag to the right side. So I gathered that up, just eyeball the distance and gathered that up and tied it with a piece of jute cord. And then flipped it over and glued down the ends. I then flipped it back over and used little beads of hot glue to just glue it in place because I didn't want it moving around. I then took the same ribbon and made a bow, and this is how I made my bow. Measured and cut, then glued down the 2 ends together, gather that in the middle, then cut another piece, folded and cut that in 2, dovetail the ends, use the lighter to burn or to singe them just so they don't fray. Gather up the middle, glue that down, and then here I go again with the bow, gather up the middle, kind of pleated it a little bit, glued it down, and then use the jute cord to tie it. And to cover the jute in the middle, I took this little piece that I cut off from the dovetail and just glued that over it and pushed in the ends and then glued on the tails and then glued on the bow on top of that. I then cut 2 of the leaves from this holly pick and glued them under the bow. And then I took some berries that came off from another pick and glued that over the top of the bow. Just kind of added some more embellishment. And then I thought that the middle needed something else, so I had this black and white gingham bow. I just dovetailed the ends and glued that in the middle. fluffed it up a little bit, and this part is done. Now it's time to add the hanger. Here I selected a few of the wooden beads that came in this pack from Walmart. Selected colors that would go well with the burlap. I decided to go with some black and the tan, so I changed it. And here I am just stringing the beads, one black, one natural, one black, one natural, and then I flipped the sign over, knotted the ends of the jute cord and glued those on, and then added a little bit more glue at the top to keep the string in place. And now it's all done. I flipped it over and it's super cute. Love it. So now we're adding a piece of brown paper to just cover up the back of that. You want to make sure that you cover the back of your project. And I used both hot glue and a little tacky glue. And then to add a little bit more interest, I took the black paint pen and I just added some little indents at different corners or different sides of the board. And I also glued on a little snowflake that I had just at the corner there, just to add like a balance. And this is done. More in the final reveal. So this is Christmas look off the hook. I host this playlist with my sweet friend Jackie from Mimi's World, CeeJ from CeeJ DIY, and myself. And this time around we have Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY, and we were challenged to do any theme of Christmas in any style that we choose. I will leave the ladies' links in the description box below, as well as the playlist. Guys, make sure to check them out. Now let's jump into DIY number 2. So I'm using this box from Dollar Tree, the one that has the drawer on the inside, and this one is going to be so easy, guys. I already made one like this in a previous video last year. It's exactly the same. I'll link that at the top so you can see how I made that one. But what I'm doing here, I'm just sanding the boxes down, and after I remove the dust with a piece of cloth to get them ready for painting. And I'll be decoupaging this napkin on the boxes, but before we do that, let's just paint these and let them dry. I used Apple Barrel acrylic white paint, and for the small one to cover that hole in the middle, I just traced that out on a piece of foam board and cut that out and then glue it in. And this is what it looks like after I glued it in, but I wasn't too worried about that because it's going to be covered. And I used a piece of masking tape on the tip of my fingers and just attached that to both sides of the napkin to separate the plies. So here I took the smaller box and placed that in the center of the napkin, and I'm just trying to make sure that I have enough on both sides. And then I applied some Mod Podge and used the brush to just brush that out. Dried it a little bit because I didn't want it too soggy. And I'm going around each side, just gradually adding the Mod Podge, drying and applying the napkin, and then drying again. And for the sides, this is how I'm doing it. I folded in just enough where I have a sufficient amount at the end to crease on the side. That makes sense. Oh, I'm listening to myself. Okay, stay focused, Christine. So once I folded that in, I took the parchment paper and the heat press, and I'm just pressing that down. And I did that for both sides. If you are new to my channel or coming over from the playlist, welcome. I'm so happy you joined me today. Here on my channel, I do DIYs on a budget, dupes, look for less, and some occasional Dollar Tree shopping hauls and thrift flips. If you love budget-friendly DIYs like these and you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and be sure to hit that notification bell. Hit it again and select all so YouTube notifies you whenever I upload new videos. And then just tuck the ends on the inside, added some Mod Podge, and just fold in the napkin. And I did the same thing for the other box. I then applied some Mod Podge on the outside to seal the napkin in, and then dried it with the heat gun. And now we're ready to embellish our boxes. I took this red ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm running that from the inside, from one side to the next side, and I did that for both boxes. And then I took the same ribbon and I made 2 small bows, just awareness, and use a jute cord to tie it in the middle. And then I had this smaller ribbon from Dollar Tree. I made 2 bows as well. Wasn't sure which one I was planning to use. And then I took a piece of the small ribbon and just wrapped that around the middle of the larger ribbon to cover the jute. And because these are gifts, we have to make gift tags. So I cut 2 small pieces of cardstock and used the paper punch to just punch holes in the top part, and then took the gold marker and just added 2 small stars, then went around the edges with some stitch lines. I glued on the tags first using a piece of baker's twine, and then glued on the larger bow and then the smaller bow on top of that. Trim off the excess twine, and our gifts are done. Let me know what you think about these guys, and if you want to see the other one, you can check that video out. So guys, I wanted to just introduce you to my shop. I keep forgetting every time I upload a video, but I do have some items here. If you see any that you are interested in, click the item and it will take you to the shop, and then you can make your purchase. And that is one way of supporting my channel. I really do appreciate that. But I keep forgetting every time that I am uploading a video. And you see we have different products. We have the mugs, we have the water bottle, aprons, bags, and t-shirts. So there you have it, guys. Thank you for allowing me to share that. Now we're moving on to DIY number 3 and 4. I got these mini wood rounds from Temu, and they were so thin I decided to just glue 2 of them together. Then I painted it with 2 coats of plaster both sides, and I'm going to be using this beautiful napkin. I love it. So I'm cutting out the Merry Christmas and the little red truck using the water technique. Guys, if you are still here, watch till this point, you are a rock star. We are moving right along. We're almost at the end. I had gotten this stencil from Amazon, and I'm going to be using just a half of it to do the bottom part of this wood round. So here I just took a piece of masking tape and divided the board in 2. Guys, my initial idea of how I wanted to do this DIY just changed as I went along. So here I'm just fuzzing the part that I wanted to use and just place that over the board. Guys, don't forget to check out my friends on the playlist, and if you're coming over from their channel, welcome. I'm so happy you came by. And I went in with 2 coats of this mineral paint, and this is from Waverly. I should have used another paint because this was so thin, but I like the color of this, so I decided to just go with it. And I'm using my little squeegee to just put that on. I got this from Chalk Couture when I purchased some stuff from a friend. I am not a designer, but you can find these on Amazon. And now it's done. As you can see, there was some bleeding there, so I dried it first and just went over that with a little bit more of the plaster to cover it. And now that's done, I'm now removing the tape. And as you can see, the top part had some opening, so I decided to I needed to close that up. So I took the same tape, cut that in 2, added piece at the top and piece at the bottom, just leaving a small amount of space because I wanted to use that as the border. And then I took the same paint and a small paintbrush and just painted that in, and then dried it. I gave it 2 coats, drying in between each coat. And now I remove the tape, and this is what it looks like. So now we're ready to decoupage our truck and our Merry Christmas. And as usual, you have to make sure that you're removing the extra ply. And then I just applied some Mod Podge to the area where I needed to put the truck, dried it, and then placed the truck down. Well, no, I didn't dry it. I just make sure that it was spread very thin. And then I placed the truck down and just use a little bit more Mod Podge to seal the edges. And I did the same thing for the Merry Christmas at the top. And then to make sure that it was dried before I placed the parchment paper down, I just applied some heat and then put the parchment paper down and use the heat press to just secure that and seal it. And using the heat press here, guys, is just to seal the napkin and the Mod Podge. If you don't have a heat press, you can definitely use your iron or your heat gun. Any form of heat will work. And then, of course, once you're done with that, you just apply some more Mod Podge to seal it and then go over the same process with just adding some heat. And you're done. So now let's jump into DIY number 4, and that is the reverse side of the same wood round. So I flipped it over, and this stencil I got from Temu, and as I did for the other side, I'm just using some Mod Podge and a piece of makeup sponge to just apply some Mod Podge to the surface just to prevent the bleeding. And then I'm using the stencil brush and this apple barrel hot red, and I'm using a small amount of the paint because the spaces on this stencil are very wide apart, so I had to use a small amount. And here, as I removed it, I realized that because the space is so far apart, the brightness of the red did not show, so I had to go in and apply some more, slightly using a small paintbrush. And now that it's done, I decided to add some dimension to the top part. So I took the black paint pen and I'm just adding very large stitch marks around it. And guys, after I put this on, I did not like it, but I left it there anyway. And now I'm just embellishing this. Because it's double-sided, I'm not doing too much to this side. So I took this ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm making a small bow. And I applied some boxwood pick. And guys, after I did all of this, I thought I lined up the reverse side with the front side, but then realized afterwards that the bell was stenciled on kind of wonky, and I just decided to leave it there. Now for the other side, and I made a small bow, just like you see me doing here, folded piece that I cut off, dovetailed the end. So I scrunched that up in the middle, tied it with a piece of jute, and then glued that on, kind of pleated it a little bit, and I made another bow. And this pick I got from Dollar Tree, I'm just cutting off 2 pieces and glue them in. And here I'm just using a piece of that same thin ribbon to make my hanger, and of course it's on this side where the bell is. And to cover the end of the ribbon, I just took another piece of that gingham ribbon and just cover that. And that's it, guys. DIYs 3 and 4. Thank you so much for sticking around. Guys, if you're still here, let me know by giving me a bell in the comment section below. Now for the final reveal. Here we are with our Merry Christmas sign. I love this one as well, but that's just me. You let me know what you think. And our faux gift boxes. These are also super cute. All of them are super cute, Christine. But thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and be sure to check out the playlist as well as the host channels. And to connect with me outside of YouTube, check my link tree for where else you can find me. And if you love budget-friendly content like this one, be sure to watch this video right here or this playlist. And stay safe, my friends, until my next one. Bye.